We are almost into July, and we're grading next week's two-star pitchers and looking at free agent pickups here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Clay Link here with FSWA Hall of Famer Todd Zola. Hope you're doing as well as you can be today in light of everything going on in the world, but hopefully we can provide a little reprieve and, just hang out, talk some baseball for a little bit. Todd, how are you today?
I'm fine. Again, within the circumstances, I am fine. So, we're here to do our job. I'm wearing the only garment that I have to show. I know it's a different issue, but to show a little support to the ladies out there. So anyway,
I respect that, man, and I'm right there with them. It's a hard day in our country here in the States, but let's talk some baseball. Let's get our mind off of that for a little bit. And we had some tough news earlier today in regards to Sal Perez. It sounds like they're expecting him back this season, but Salvador Perez is going on the IL with a thumb fracture. So this could cost him quite a bit of time, and tough break if you spend a third-round pick or maybe even late second in a 15. I don't know, but tough break if you lost Sal Perez.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to come back, no doubt. That's the kind of player he is. But, it comes a time that, Kansas City may just shut him down, We'll see. But, yeah, no, the question of the year that we're asking anytime this happens, and some years we don't have to ask it because it's not as clear, but is he a drop for you in a 12 and a 15?
Man, that's so tough. So the official diagnosis, UCL ligaments or ulnar collateral ligament in his left thumb. So that's what he's going to have surgery to repair. I think because he clears the bar at catcher in 2 catcher leagues, I think I'd hold on to him. But that's what I said about, Albies and Buehler. And then this week I cut Buehler. So I get that it's team dependent and you may have to make that tough move.
I think you have to cut him. We've got August 1st. So I suppose will undergo surgery. So maybe there'll be a little more information after he has the surgery. So maybe you don't cut him yet. Maybe you wait until the surgery, and if there's any kind of clear timetable. But I don't think you can hold on to a guy that isn't going to be back until September, regardless who he is, because who's to say what he does in September?
Mm.
So I would look to upgrade my catcher in any way. I'm not really sure at this point who might be out there. Francisco Mejia is getting more playing time with Zunino out. He's an option. If Christian Betancourt hasn't been picked up yet, which he probably has, William Contreras. I'm not 100% positive who might be out there. Maybe Mitch Garver or Carson Kelly were released from their teams. And I know neither of them are hitting well right now, but maybe they will. Maybe they're worth picking up. There's a couple of guys who were already released and now just came back this week. And so I guess there could be options out there, but reserves are just too valuable.
Yeah, those are some good names to throw out there. And league where I lost Molina, I picked up Eric Haas, and I'm kind of wondering if I should just have taken a zero. Were you going to add something there?
Well, I guess is that you kind of already have been dinged by your second or third round pick on Perez.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Hitting 211 with 11 homers. So it doesn't make dropping him any easier. But I think to me, and I'm waiting until I hear the news, and then maybe I don't drop him until I have to. But I'm not waiting. I can't imagine waiting till September.
Well, the corresponding move for Perez was Edward Oliveiras returning from his rehab assignment.
Yeah.
Still holding out hope for Oliveiras turning into something.
It's no longer a one-man bandwagon. Not that I was the one-man bandwagon for Oliveiras. A lot of people are on his free Oliveiras last season.
Mm-hmm.
People are picking him up every week in the FSGA. In the NFBC. We talked to Greg Ambrosius last Tom Kesenek. on our Monday show with Jeff. Jeff and Tom and Greg will continue to talk. I think I have one more Monday that I get to talk to him, which is, it is what it is. Anyway, keep talking to you folks, though. Lucky you.
Yeah, and on MLB Network Radio.
Yeah, exactly. So the point being, not the point, whatever. Every week they talk about Oliveiras being picked up in a couple of leagues. So people are already preparing for his return. So what? MJ Melendez plays more catcher, which clears up, some at bats for Oliveiras, who probably deserves at bats on his own. It's still when Vinny P comes up, right?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking maybe that would clear the way for him, but Pasquantino's still down in the minors.
You can call him Pasquantino. I'll call him Vinny P.
Vinny P.
I mispronounce enough names.
Well, I expected him to be up a while ago, but not having a 40-man spot kind of presented more of a barrier than I kind of
because the Royals have just got so many players they need to protect.
Oh, yeah. You got to evaluate so many of those.
Ryan O'Hearn is just so valuable.
Yeah, it's getting pretty frustrating, especially when O'Neal Cruz is up. The Super 2 date has to have passed, right?
The air quote, because as you know, it's until everybody gets called up and they can figure out the percentage and et cetera, it's an estimate. But yes, they have estimated that it has passed.
Okay, yeah. It is really cool to see O'Neal Cruz up, but yeah, if the Pirates can bring up O'Neal Cruz, come on, Royals, what are you waiting on? But I told James I was wearing out the replay button on that O'Neal Cruz 90-some mile per hour throw from short. That was just insane, man.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, it wasn't even a great diving stop or anything. It was just the throw. It was such a laser.
And it didn't look, it wasn't like a max effort, right? It was just, the ball just comes out. I mean, I could never throw. I mean, I would throw, this is so stupid, playing softball, whatever. I didn't have I had an accurate arm. I could get the job done. But the mechanics of why some body shapes and sizes can sling a ball and some can, more heave it. It just blows, he's one of those guys that the ball just comes out of his hand hot.
Yeah, it's very true. Now
we gotta pause for the people laughing about me playing softball.
I was pausing briefly just because the computer had I was getting the spinny thing. But
I've had the spins.
Oh, me too. Not so much since I quit drinking, but
the worst spins I ever had was the one time I ever did chew.
Ooh, I had a disastrous experience the first time I tried chew as well. The only time. Yeah, same here.
Same
here. I think
there was no second.
Same here. Well, let's talk a little bit about the pickups from last night. I know that you're not in this particular league, Todd, but some staff league pickups. Tanner Scott, pretty much the only closer available in this league. So he went for 11 out of 100.
What, 5 or 6 saves this month?
Yeah. So seems to have wrestled that job away.
He seemed to have cemented the job, and whether he gets traded or not remains to be seen. Mm-hmm. But he's solidified he's emerged from the Marlins bullpen with 5 or 6 saves this month.
I picked up Isak Paredes. I heard the announcers calling him that. I was like, no, that can't be right. Then I went to his baseball reference page. Indeed, it is pronounced Isak Paredes, and picked him up for 2. I'm disappointed, though. Now I'm seeing our confirmed lineup at RotoWire. Wouldn't you know it, Paredes isn't in the lineup today. So at least they're giving Jonathan Aranda his first start. Aranda's been up for 3 days and still hasn't appeared in a game yet. So he'll be making his debut. But I was hoping that after 4 homers in a span of 4 plate appearances earlier this week, that Paredes would be pretty well locked in. But not in there today.
He's an interesting pickup. I've liked him for AL only. And, again, now that maybe, as you suggest, you're not expecting 4 homers, but a hot streak, if nothing else, often leads to more playing time, which to me is the more important air quote metric to worry about.
Totally, man. Yeah, a lot of moving pieces. I thought I could thought he'd be an upgrade over, because we do 2 UTs.
Yeah.
And I was doing still riding Scope, who I picked up a while back. Hasn't worked out. Now, this is a guy that I really don't know much about, but I was looking at his baseball reference page earlier today, mostly to see how to pronounce his name. Bly Madris. Bly Madris. was picked up for 2. So he's playing a lot for Pittsburgh, and not really a guy I know much about, but he's kind of got lost in the shuffle with O'Neal Cruz, but he's playing quite a bit.
Yeah, I had to check with Jeff Erickson. I thought that was the name of a European soccer team. But
Madrid United or something.
Number scouting him, how to project him, etc. Okay prospect, but we've had prospects that are just okay pop. So never know. It's good to see Pittsburgh giving, people like O'Neal Cruz, etc., a chance. Like I said, for the first time in a while, you may not like the plan, you may not think they have great parts, but I think Pittsburgh is executing a plan, which is different for them.
Yeah, it does seem like finally they have some sort of plan going. So he was a $2 ad. Zack Davies was picked up for 2. I think that kind of speaks to just how starting pitching is right now. Pretty tough. And yeah, he's had a few bright spots, but it is Zack Davies.
No interest. Yeah. I mean, too risky with the strikeouts, lack of, this is totally off topic. So you mentioned the Tampa starting lineup. So I took a quick look at it. I know I know there are a lot of lefties, but they're not very good lefties. I'm going to have to rush to get a DFS lineup and start Mitch Keller tonight.
Yeah, probably like under 2% owned Mitch Keller.
Yeah, we got Josh Lowe cleanup, Luke Raley in left field, and then Aranda and Brett Phillips. I know they're lefties, but just because it's a lefty-righty matchup doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, I texted Jason Collette right before we started this pod. Like, man, they couldn't find a spot for Paredes in this lineup. Come on, man. That's just I'm bitter.
Yeah, loading up lefties against Mitch Keller. Anyway.
Yeah, that's like
back
maybe
to
getting a little too cute with the platooning. But anyway, Zac Davies for 2. I picked up Keegan Thompson for 2. I was pretty pumped about that. I did drop Walker Buehler. Held on to him last week despite the news, but kind of got far enough away from it to let the pain settle in, and then I made what I feel is probably the level-headed call to drop Buehler. And Thompson, great start earlier this week. If you streamed him for that start, great work. Good start last week too. So Keegan Thompson showing us something.
I need to do a little bit more of a dive into Thompson because I we didn't see a whole lot, but a lot of smart people, yourself included, he was picked up in our recent XFL draft. It's more of a futures play, but as you suggest, he's had a couple of good starts lately. So I need to open my eyes to Keegan Thompson.
Yeah, I picked him up in Tout Wars last weekend, and then here. But last week in Tout Wars, it was mostly just because of pitching points, how the points are distributed on the pitching side in that points format. But looking like a roto ad now, at least showing flashes of something. So in today's game, you have to kind of pounce when you see any sort of signs of life. Do you agree that Buehler's a drop?
Yeah. Yeah. We had a recent Tout Wars question where the 5, let me see if I remember the 5 players: Fernando Tatis, Walker Buehler, Juan Segura, Ozzie Albies, and the 5th is escaping me. But we basically said, if you're in the NFBC, TGFBI, etc., are you dropping any or all of these players? And everybody was a drop, with half the people saying they'd hold on to Tatis. So Buehler is a drop for me at this point. Ferdie Peralta was the 5th.
Right. Yeah.
It happened after Mookie Betts got hurt. He may have been an interesting Salvador Perez. I could re-ask the question with these guys, but I'll come up with another question. But these guys are all dropping me. And the thing with Tatis is, at least in theory, if you drafted him, you should have gone into the season kind of relegating yourself to 6 reserves, knowing that's what you had, right? And design your team accordingly with, multiple position eligibility, a safe closer, less of a reason to need a reserve. If you didn't, that's on you. But at least you should have, if you drafted Tatis, gone into the season knowing this could be a strong possibility.
Zach Greinke picked up for $1. Again, I think people are just kind of scrambling for starters here this week.
Yeah.
Joey Wendell, the $0 ad. I'm kind of wondering what his role is going to be exactly, because Birdie's been playing so well. Dean Kramer picked up Josh Lowe. Miguel Vargas kind of, I think that's kind of a stash, but one of the better players in the league picked him up.
I mean, that's more of a speculative pickup because with Betts out, There's some maneuverability. Now, I think Vargas probably already would have come up, but if what Los Angeles has now doesn't get it done, I could see that. So, or maybe it was just in the head. It's like, Vargas may come up, and sometimes you get that thing in your head, and you put the bid in, and you don't reconsider. But anyway, I think that I think it's in between a stash and hope that something soon happens.
Yeah, and the corresponding drop there was Anthony Rendon. So I imagine this manager just said, he had a drop. So
yeah, there you go.
Who am I going to add for 0? Well, Miguel Vargas could pan out. Luis Patino picked up also $0 ad. Daniel Hudson and Craig Kimbrell suddenly on kind of shaky ground. I know they're sticking by him, and you don't want to pull the plug on that guy because of how bad he's been in non-closing situations. But you got to think that the leash is starting to shorten up a little bit.
Kimbrell always seems to go through a stretch like this.
True.
And a lot of times it's unwarranted in that he just ran into some bad luck or walked a couple people and then happened to give up a home run as opposed to walking a couple of people and striking the next guy out. You never want to walk people, of course. So I do anticipate Kimbrell working his way through. But in this, what have you done for me lately? If he's removed from the role for 2 weeks, Hudson can get, 4 saves in those 2 weeks. So I understand the move, but I'm not driving the Craig Kimbrell's on thin ice bandwagon.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's on thin ice yet, but I do think maybe it's starting to, maybe you cut the leash like
real quick on Vargas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, real quick on Vargas. Trace Thompson is given the first shot to sort of be the fill-in, and he's doing things like hitting homers. So that may be delaying Vargas's shot at the bigs. Trace Thompson is Trace Thompson. I don't need 31-year-old journeyman. I don't anticipate, if he struggles, and all he did was hit that one homer. Well, that one homer, he hit a homer. So we could see he hit a double the day before. Actually, this is so stupid. He hit a double with men on first and second into the right field corner and scoring both runs. And the person on the TV said, if the bases were empty, that was a triple. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm guessing he misspoke and he didn't really mean that. He was trying to make another point, but for the life of me, could not figure out why isn't that? Why would that be a triple if the bases were empty? But anyway.
Yeah. Sometimes I just hear some things that I try to process and I just give up on because there's no point in.
Well, sometimes I know a lot of times I say things that other people try to process. And get, so I'm not really making a joke. I'm being serious. Mm-hmm. That's what I found.
Me too.
There's no delete key on this microphone. There's a cough key, and there's the siren's coming, Zola, mute yourself key. But there is no, you're saying something dumb, erase it and say something smart key.
Yeah, when you've done this long enough, not that I've even done this like all that long, but you definitely learn from experience that you learn to give these guys a little bit of leeway because you're gonna say something stupid too if you've done this long enough. Domingo Hermann. Oh, by the way, I just want to say, back to the Dodgers bullpen real quick. I like Daniel Hudson. I think he's a nice little spec, but I may throw like a $1 out of 1,000 on Brewstar Gratterall too, because Hudson is good. And he's got some saves lately, but there's always a chance they want to keep him in that fireman sort of role or sort of flexible role, and then maybe they give Gratterall a look with his easy gas. And over his since May 7th, he has a 0.93 whip. K's still haven't really shown up, but just 4 walks in his last 22 and a third innings. And so Gratterall is really kind of finding himself at the big league level.
Selected endpoints alert, but he's got 11 Ks in his last 11 and a third. He's got 5 Ks in his last 3 2/3. So they're getting there.
And again, I would probably say, in terms of priorities, I'd probably have Hudson a little bit ahead if you're looking to speculate there. But I don't mind Gratterall as a really cheap guy this week. Domingo Hermann, I mentioned, he's coming back, but I don't really see a spot for him in that Yankees rotation. So a little skeptical on that. Then Paulo Espino. Anything else you want to mention, Todd, before we get into 2-star pitchers?
Other than the little thing that I added to the 2-start pitchers is kind of a neat. It's working out to be kind of a neat thing where I give the roster numbers based on NFBC leagues, and last week it identified Kyle Freeland as someone to go after. I think it's kind of a neat little addition to our 2-start rankings. So anyway.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah. And how did the first Kyle Freeland start go? I didn't really see.
You didn't chain yourself to a seat for the Kyle Freeland day? 7 innings. I think he only had 5 strikeouts. It went fine. Didn't walk anybody. 7 hits. Colorado did not score many runs, or I think was tied. So I wanted more strikeouts because part of the reason is Miami leads the league in strikeouts against Southpaws, and I was hoping that they get some runs off of Braxton Garrett, but Garrett kind of shoved too. And I think, Birdie stole. You know what Birdie did? Because he didn't steal in the previous game. He stole third, which is, like you need him to steal more bases. And he did the delayed steal, which I love, right? He didn't take off initially. He kind of waited, took got a little bit of a running lead to kind of catch the catcher off guard. So this is the guy leading the league in steals, has now added stealing third and the delayed steal to his repertoire.
Yeah, just have been a roto cheat code, that guy.
It's been
this
great.
Month. It's been crazy. Well, before we get to 2-star pitchers, we have to take care of a little bit of business, so bear with us, and we will be back after these quick words from our Blue Wire sponsors. Big Papa Pump is your hookup. Holler if you hear me. Welcome back to RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Clay Link here with FSWA Hall of Famer Todd Zola. Just had to get that little Scott Steiner reference in there with giving the sirens. But let's get into the 2-star pitchers for the week of June 27th, 2022, almost July. Pretty wild. It's going to be football is going to be in full swing everywhere pretty soon, but we're going to continue our focus on baseball here at RotoWire. We'll continue to have everything throughout the year, and hopefully you can bring home a fantasy championship. 2 off days for the Diamondbacks, so no 2-star pitchers for them. But then the Atlanta Braves, Charlie Morton at Philadelphia, at Cincy. Couple tough parks to pitch in.
You know what? It may help if I call up next week's games. That would probably be better for the sake of the next 30 minutes of discussion if I called up next week's games. All right, they're called up.
Nice. Yeah, I've done that plenty of times where I have the wrong week selected. But yeah, go to custom start date on our projected starters grid, 627, click show starters. Morton, with these venues, I think I'm going to give him a 4, but I was shuffling around my top 300 earlier this week, and I still have him as like a top 80 overall player, I think. So, as bad as he's been, I still have high hopes for Morton. And
he's been pitching pretty well lately.
Yeah, lately he's turned it around.
And you mentioned the venues. Cincinnati's offense is still terrible. I don't care. You still, it's one of those things. High scoring teams will score a lot of runs in pitching venues, and cruddy offenses won't score in hitting venues. So I'm not concerned about the venue anymore. 2 straight 7-inning starts, struck out 20 in those 14 innings, 12 the game. He's 20? He's got 40 strikeouts in his last 4 games. That's pretty good.
You convinced me. I'm bumping him up to 5. What do you say?
I'm going 5.
Okay. Yeah. It's such a balance between what have they done so far this year and what is the true baseline, and I try not to overweight what he's done to this point.
It's not written yet. It's in my head, but that's kind of what this upcoming Z Files is going to be about. So,
anyway. Awesome, man. Well, look forward to that, and your new article, Todd's takes. Love seeing that too. So thanks for all the great work.
That's been fun. Yep.
Good observations piece. Tyler Wells at Seattle, at Minnesota. Man, I don't know. I haven't really paid him much mind, but I guess I have to a little bit because he's got a 1.10 whip over 64 and 2/3 innings. Only 40 Ks though in those 64 and 2/3 innings. So hard for me to trust, even with a couple decent matchups. I'm going to give him I'm gonna give him a 1 just because, like, in a points league, maybe. Are you gonna give Wells?
I'm going to go
than
higher. I'm going to go a bit higher. I think he's still kind of feeling himself out in the starting role. I don't love the matchups. I don't love being on the road. I'm going to go with a 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the top pickups. Comparing where he lands on the list versus NFBC rostership. I wouldn't be surprised if he's someone that is identified to pick up.
Yeah, I could see him being picked up in a lot of leagues, but I like a little bit more Ks, some more swing and miss.
Yeah, I would too, but yeah, the 2 starts will help that.
Leaves a lot up to variance and pretty volatile. But yeah, we'll see. I got him as a 1, but I got you down as a 2. Michael Wacha has been fantastic, 6-1 with a 2.34 ERA. But he's got to go to Toronto, and so that means he won't have his closer, by the way, available to him. But at Toronto, at Chicago for Wacha. I'm a little scared of that first one, but with the way he's pitching, I'm going to give Wacha a 3.
For what it's worth, he also won't have his current center fielder. Duran Duran is not vaccinated, so I don't think Hernandez will be back. So he'll be missed. He's been a little bit of a spark. I'm gonna go 3. Is what we're seeing real? There's some regression coming to Wacha, but I think he has improved the skills, or what he showed at the end of last season with the new pitch mix is carrying over. But I'm still going to go 3. Tampa is tough. Toronto's just too tough.
They are tough. It's been a nice ride. Hopefully he doesn't give too much of it back next week.
Ooh, here's your man.
Yeah, Keegan Thompson. I was hoping actually that he was going to get 2 this week, but I'm seeing now on the Cubs probable starters page that they have Matt Swarmer listed for Sunday. So I guess Thompson will be pushed to next week versus Cincinnati versus Boston. So he'll be matched up opposite Wacha. He's tentatively lined up to be opposite Wacha then next Sunday. So I'm going to give Thompson, I'm going to give him a 3, I think. Now, he's got a 3.10 ERA. A lot of that came in the bullpen, though. But I mentioned his progress over his last 2 starts, so I'm going to give him a 3. I kind of like him as a pickup if he's still out there.
So you're saying that MLB has him this week not going to, and we need to adjust, or
no, for some reason I think when I picked him up in Tout Wars last week, I had him this week.
All right, okay, got it.
But I guess he's
because missing Boston wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah. On the Cubs page, it says Swarmer's starting this Sunday, so it does look like Thompson will get 2 next week.
Okay, got it. I need to do a little bit more work. I'm going to go 2 just because I need to do a little bit more work on him. But even though it's in Wrigley, the Red Sox start is still tough.
Yeah, hopefully the wind isn't blowing out like crazy in that game. Luis Castillo.
No, hopefully it is.
Oh, as a Red Sox fan, of course, yeah. But if you're a Keegan Thompson guy, not a Keegan Aiken guy, but if you're a Keegan Thompson guy.
I know you're making a joke, but he's kind of looked really good in the relief.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
I haven't really kept tabs on
Well, you're not reading my Todd Stakes yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed that one. I have read at least one, but so Luis Castillo, the Reds, he's been a little disappointing, but not terrible. At the Cubs versus Atlanta, I'm going to give him a 3. He just hasn't pitched like a frontline guy yet. I think he's going to be close to that, but from what I've seen with my own eyes, he just isn't quite back to being himself just yet.
That's exactly what I thought when I watched him pitch as well. Is by the eyes. I mean, when he's in a groove, I mean, he's just got this look, and this mannerisms.
He's just so casual when he's gone.
Yeah, which he didn't really have. I'm going to go 3, but I wouldn't be surprised if my numbers give him a 4.
So on to the surging Cleveland Guardians. Wow, they've been fantastic lately. Tristan McKenzie and Zach Plesac, and Plesac's been a reason for their success over the past few weeks. He's been on a roll. It is still Zach Plesac, and the K's are pretty underwhelming. McKenzie versus Minnesota versus the Yankees. Let me just look real quick at what McKenzie.
He's still not giving him length, right?
And
he's not really giving him length.
Actually, if you look at Tristan McKenzie's
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it was
Box
his
score.
it was the last start. He was been set on a run of
6
6 and 7
plus.
inning
Yeah.
starts. Yeah, that's what
Looks
it
like he'd
is.
been 6 plus for like 8 straight starts
Right.
before his
Yeah,
last
that's
time out.
where I had it, that it broke the streak. Right.
Yeah, it did break that. So only 4 1/3 the other day against the Minnesota Twins. In Minnesota, he gets them at home early next week. Then again, at home against the Yankees. With those matchups, the Yankees are just such a juggernaut. I'm going to give Tristan McKenzie a 3.
I'm going to give him a 3 as well. Yeah, now remembering too, because all but one of those starts was a quality start, and that was the one of all plays. It was Baltimore, but anyway, so
Yeah,
yeah,
a magic touch there in Cleveland with their pitchers.
Oh,
What about Plesac? Are you buying in?
I think we're seeing some of the skills that we thought we saw a couple years ago coming out. I mean, he's not terrible. I mean, he's just on one of those Zac, like Zack Davies. He's getting some batted ball luck. This is the sort of thing that happens, but he's not a terrible pitcher. Yeah, I'm gonna go 2 with him. I don't think he's as good as McKenzie, or doesn't strike out as many batters. So I'm gonna go 2 with Plesac. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Just because as good of a run as he's on, he's still only averaging like 6.6 Ks per 9 during this 5-start run. So yeah, it could be a bit of a regression week for Plesac. But if you've enjoyed this wave, good on you. Chad Kuhl is going to be versus the Dodgers against former Rocky Tyler Anderson on Monday. Then he's versus Arizona. So 2 home starts. Chad Kuhl's a 0.
Yeah, as long you can say 2 home starts. I don't care who he's playing. It's a 0.
Yeah, that's probably true. Lucas Gialito's been pretty maddening this year.
Man,
any idea what's going on?
I need to do a little bit of a look, and I in Todd's takes, I said for next Tuesday, I'll make a point of watching Monday's game so I have something to talk about. I joked on Twitter. I'm beginning to wonder if Barrios and Gialito are the same person. I mean,
both just maddening.
And I'm hearing. I mean, Gialito's velocity's down. I have not done the deep dive yet to understand why. It's just more of, he's got a track record, therefore he'll bounce back. But at some point, is that the case? Is he hurt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? These are tough. These are at LA's tough, and in San Francisco starting to get some of their pieces back could be tough. So, I mean, he's a 5 guy pitching like a 1. Does that make him a 3?
I had him as a 4, but you going 3?
I base a lot of it. I mean, enough of my analysis incorporates recent starts, and they have not been good.
I will disagree with you a little bit that at LAA is scary. I mean, if you pitch kind of cautiously to Trout and Ohtani, the rest of that lineup's pretty.
I think that's one of those lineups that you think that, but the numbers kind of show otherwise. I'm gonna look some up. Maybe that's against lefties and not righties. I don't know, but go on and I'll as we're talking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Taylor Ward, Jared Walsh, but then the back half of that expected order, at least as we have it against right-handed pitching, Duffy, Rengifo, Stassi, Marsh. Marsh is playing a good defensive game, but Andrew Velasquez is not a team that I'm really all that scared of. If you can get around Ohtani and Trout, but I'm going to give Gialito a 4. But I got you down as a 3, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. We'll see what my numbers say when they come out. But yeah, right now I'm going to go 3.
Definitely check out Todd's weekly pitcher rankings closer to Sunday for a better idea where he has them. But yeah, I got you down as a 3. And so 2 off days for the Tigers, no 2-start starters for them. Then Luis Garcia, the Astros pitcher, Luis Garcia, got to specify at the Mets versus the Angels. I think this is going to be the second 5 for me, along with Morton this week.
Yeah, Garcia. I mean, he's been fine, but I wanted more than fine. Okay, here's what it is about the Angels that's in my head. They have a slightly above average WOBA against righties, but they strike out a ton against righties. Nice. So for fantasy purposes, I don't mind taking a chance. Again, so that's kind of the difference. I don't know if it's the top lineup against. So they strike out. Yeah, they lead the league in strikeouts versus righties, but they're above average WOBA wise, and they're above average power wise, home run percent. So it's one of those, matchup sort of things. The pitcher, what he does good, what he does bad. It's not an easy matchup, but it's not a hard, depending on, anyway, it's one of those things. So, anyway, so moving on.
Oh yeah, no, good points there, and I get that Luis Garcia's win-loss record's been a little disappointing, but times I've seen him recently, he's looked really good. So
I had such high expectations. That could be unfair. Maybe I had higher expectations.
You say 5 though for this week?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now every time I'm looking around on my waiver wire and sorting by recent weeks and looking at K's, Jonathan Heasley's been popping up, and he hasn't really pitched that poorly recently. I don't trust this Royals team with pitching development, and they're just a bad team generally. But versus Texas at Detroit, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to have Heasley on a couple lists. I'm going to give him a 2.
Yeah, no, I can go into that. So, the last couple of outings have not been great, but the strikeouts to walks are there. A couple of home runs last time, and one home run one before. So if you can keep the ball in the yard, you can get some work done. So I can see that for sure.
Yeah, his last 3 starts, he's thrown 16 innings. Jonathan Heasley, 17 Ks, a 3.38 ERA, 0.88 WHIP. So showing a little something. Home runs have remained an issue during that stretch, but love those matchups versus Texas at Detroit. So yeah, I'm gonna probably at least have him on a waterfall or 2. Angels,
Heasley or Tyler Wells?
Heasley for me.
Okay, no, it makes sense. I like the matchups. Yeah, the matchups put Heasley above Wells.
Nice. That is a good question though, because we do have similar grades for those two. No 2-star pitchers for the Angels, but then the Dodgers. Tyler Anderson's going to return home to Colorado, so that's a tough break. He's kind of one of those few guys who leaves Colorado, and Dodgers have a lot to do with it. But he's a lot of guys leave Colorado and they don't actually get better after they leave. Well, he's been a guy who's gotten a lot better this year.
This is a discussion I've had with Jeff. The problem with this discussion, there's just not that many guys to discuss that haven't gotten hurt. So, I mean, I've been rooting for John Gray to stay healthy just to give us another data point. And the fact he's pitching well helps. But, yeah, I mean, Ubaldo Jimenez, we start Mike Hampton. If you have to go back as far as Mike Hampton, there's just not that many pitchers that leave Colorado with enough of their career left to make this kind of a judgment. We're still speculating. We can't point to data.
Good point. Yeah, very good point. And Anderson, part of his success is the new changeup grip he's got. And, we'll see if he can keep this run going. At Colorado, though, versus San Diego, as good as he's been, I'm probably starting him here, even though the first one's at Colorado, but I'm a little scared, so I'm going to give him a 3.
I'm giving him a 2. I mean, I just can't, at Colorado, I can't give, it's just not. Colorado is just too good of a park. And again, while their offense isn't that good, it's good enough to get the job done.
What about Kershaw? I think I'm going to give him a 3 too, but
I'm going to stay at 3, but he's got a terrible history in Coors Field, although it's against better teams.
Pablo Lopez at St. Louis, at Washington. He's kind of hurt recently, wasn't he?
I don't think so.
Oh, I guess he had a wrist, but he didn't even miss a full turn in the rotation earlier this month. Yeah. But it looks like he's back healthy. Went 7 earlier this week, so it looks like he's turned the page on that wrist issue. At St. Louis, at Washington, that's going to be a 5 for Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, it's a 5. And you were talking about injury. He's 20 innings shy of what he pitched last year when his shoulder started hurting. So I'm going to be watching him over the next few weeks. It'd be a nice kind of mental hurdle to, a clean next 3 starts. So he's kind of, continuing on the road of acedom.
By the way, you just meant, a word. Oh, I'm sorry.
Acedom is a word.
Oh yeah, I think it is. Maybe not, but I wanted to just say, you mentioned John Gray just a minute ago. I'm really glad I held on to him throughout his second IL stint. I was so tempted to drop him when he hit the IL a second time, but he
Yeah.
has kind of turned it on, John Gray. So
Yep.
hopefully more good days ahead for him. For the Milwaukee Brewers, Eric Lauer's been, a little disappointing lately, but still had a great run early, and still surface numbers still pretty good. At Tampa Bay, at Pitt, he's not a 5, but I like those matchups. So I'm going to give Eric Lauer a 4. I think this is a pretty good week for Lauer.
Hopefully it is a rebound week. It's a make good week because he's really struggled lately. I don't know about, you mentioned surface stats. I don't know if the skills have been better than the outcomes the past month, let's call it. If that's the case, he'll probably stay a 4 for me. Otherwise, he may have dropped to a 3. I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go
overall surface numbers is what I was
right. But yeah, he has struggled the past month. But a lot of times it's just, one game where he gave up BABIP or gave up homers. But he's not quite as solid as he was early. And is Woodruff coming back this weekend?
I believe so. We do have him penciled in for Wednesday. So
yeah, I think he might be coming. It would be tonight if he's pitching Wednesday, right? No, I don't. Well, point is Woodruff's coming back.
Yeah. So that'll be big for his fantasy managers. Sonny Gray, Devin Smeltzer for Minnesota. That's at Cleveland versus Baltimore. I'm going to give Sonny a 4. I'm just not ready to put him in the 5 range yet.
He doesn't deserve it. He deserves a 4.
And what about Smeltzer? He's pitched well. I think I'm going to give him a 2, but
I'm going to give him a 3. I'm going to say that Cleveland is a grinding lineup. It usually doesn't, tattoo you. Minnesota may disagree. I think there's a bit of a slugfest a couple nights ago, but Cleveland beat you 5-4. So maybe you don't win the game, but I don't think it crushes you. And then, let's get him at home against Baltimore.
Jordan Montgomery's got a pretty nice 2-step versus Oakland at Cleveland. Talked about Cleveland surging a little bit, but that's still, at Cleveland's still pretty nice. So, he's not a 5 pitcher, but he's a 4.
Yeah. The Yankees offense got him off the hook. He had a rare poor start last time out. Left, I think, after 6, and it's without the lead, losing, and the Yankees came back and won that game, which is just a broken record at this point. We're gonna go. I'm gonna go 4, but it's probably on the high end of the 4s.
Yeah, that's a high end 4, but I'm with you on a 4. Now, I was kind of lamenting earlier this week that Paul Blackburn, I was having trouble timing him because I sat him last week against Boston. He had a nice one. Then they started him this week in Seattle. He got blown up, but I still got to just be happy with what he's given me to date. So I'm still in the green overall this season with Paul Blackburn, but hoping not to give too much more back. At the Yankees, at Seattle, probably going to go a 3, but I'm holding my breath on that Yankees start.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2.
Yeah, that is pretty scary. He's not as good as he was pitching earlier this year. But what about Frankie Montas? Didn't he have a no-no going pretty late the other day?
Yeah.
I saw just in the box score anyway. But he's got the Yankees as well, and then at Seattle. It's at New York too, that first one. So I like him a little more than Blackburn, certainly. So I'm going to give him a 4, not a 5 for me.
I like him a lot more than Blackburn. I'm not going to call him matchup proof, but I am going to go 5. I think it's a low end 5. When are we starting Hug Watch for Montas? Is that on now?
Yeah, probably should
wait a couple weeks. Yeah,
probably should be underway. Probably get the binoculars out if you're at the game. Yeah. Keep eyes on Montas. Yeah, I do like him quite a bit more than Blackburn too, skills wise. So you know what? I'm going to lower Blackburn to a 2 as well.
Okay,
3 just felt wrong off the tongue. So Zach Wheeler's been like a NL Cy Young candidate, so he's a 5.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a blip last time out, but absolutely, if you bought the dip and got him in a late draft because he was going to start the season a little bit late, he may end up with 30 starts, and considering you're going to lose a couple starts anyway, yeah, it's been no big deal. So last time out, Texas got him for 4 runs and 2 earned in 4 1/3, but he still struck out 8. It was just one of those days. He's a 5. Yeah, I should say it. He's a 5.
Log in and change the grid here momentarily because Jared Eichhoff DFA'd today. So he gave up 10 runs.
There goes I was going to say, if you can explain why Jarek Eichhoff has a job, I'll try to explain Martin Perez to you.
Well, nobody can explain Martin Perez this year. Just a fluke. But let me just, while we're at it, so I don't forget after the show, let me go in and change that Pirates starter for Monday, because will not be Jared Eichhoff. I'll tell you that much. Looks like now we have Bryce Wilson in there. So I'll change Bryce Wilson. I'm still giving him a 0. I'm not changing the grade, but
I'm not changing Bryce Wilson's still a 0. At Washington, home against Milwaukee. I mean, you don't hate the home against Milwaukee, but it's a 0.
And Quintana, man, I just he's got one win. I don't want to start Jose Quintana. I'm giving him a 0 even with 360 ERA.
I don't want to start him either, but he may be worthy of a start. I don't know. Still only 61 strikeouts. No, I'm with you.
Are pretty brutal. He gets the Brewers.
I don't know what FIP and xFIP and Sierra is, but it's certainly higher than 3.6. So,
I feel like, the Brewers are kind of a weak offense right now. I feel like Hunter Renfroe will take Quintana deep a couple times.
Willie Adames, he's on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, good to see Willie healthy again.
Yeah, Willie Adames is hitting the ball out of the yard.
No 2-star pitchers for the San Diego Padres. So then for Seattle, George Kirby is going to be versus Baltimore versus Oakland. And I think Kirby, he had a few bumps early, but I think he's graduated to 5. Honest to God, with these matchups, I'm going to give Kirby a 5.
I think, a non-spreadsheet kind of, guy. You know what? The heck with it. He's a 5. I agree. And I watched him last time. Seemed to have, and it was against Oakland, but had composure, looked in control. I like what I saw, and I don't have Bernie Pleskoff's eyes, if you will, but I do think that I did like what I saw.
Same, yeah. Over his last 5 starts, Kirby's thrown 29 innings. He has a 2.17 ERA, a 1.03 WHIP, and 27 strikeouts against just 4 walks. So
that's the key to me.
Early bumps in the road, but
that's the key. I don't know what to. I mean, I know what to look for. I like to see what pitchers, their mannerisms. They look fidgety. Is he taking time? What happens when they make a bad play or gets a bad call? He didn't have a whole lot of opportunity to display that when you're not walking batters. But I just thought he showed composure and looked really, really good.
Yeah. So I don't know if just in a vacuum I'd have Kirby as a every week 5, but with these matchups he's a 5, and same with Robbie Ray.
I agree on both of those statements. Yeah, I agree on both of those statements. Yeah.
So Ray's a 5 for me, and then no 2-star pitchers for San Francisco, but Adam Wainwright for St. Louis. He doesn't have his guy behind the plate anymore. Molina's got some bad knees, but Wainwright's versus Miami at Philly. Hard guy to figure out for me over the past few years, but with these matchups, I'm going to give him a 4.
I'm going to give him a 3. Yeah, I think he's starting to lose. The skills are starting to. He's outpitched his skills, and it's starting to catch up a little bit. I'm going to go 3. My numbers may show 4, but I'm going to go 3.
Gotcha. Down as a 3. I'm going 4. The defense is still pretty darn good behind.
Oh, yeah.
Shane Baz is going to be a 5 for me. Actually, let me just double check, see how far he went last time. So it was against the Yankees. He went 4 2/3, but went 6 to start before that. So I'm going to give Baz a 5. I believe in his stuff that much.
Now, Kirby, I've seen enough of recently to go the 5 route on a rookie. I can't do that yet with Baz. I'm going to go 4, but he's someone I think, absolutely love. Everybody talks with Clanahan. I mean, we all know who Baz is, right? He's the other guy, right? He's the other guy in that Chris Archer trade.
Yes, with a Glass now.
Yeah, and he may turn out to be the guy.
Yeah,
if Glass now can't recover, Austin Meadows being the other.
So he does get the second one for Baz next week is at Toronto. So I get where you're coming from. I got you down as a 4, but if you stuck out that absence, I just can't imagine any scenario where I'd swap Baz out.
Oh, he's in the lineup. I'm a little, don't don't expect
reserving that 5 for the top.
Yeah, don't expect 2 7-inning 2-run performances. That's all.
Now Martin Perez gets at KC at the Mets, so couple good venues for him to. Is this guy like run into the luckiest season of all time?
You know what? I've softened my stance a tad. Okay, he's benefiting from the ball. So when everything settles, and it doesn't, I mean, regression doesn't punch a time clock. It may not, but when things settle, he's going to give up fewer homers than he's given up in previous seasons. So the landing point is still kind of palatable. I think he's due some hit regression and some home run regression, and I don't know that it's coming this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a full-blown skeptic here on Martin Perez, but at KC at the Mets, I think I got to give him. I was going to say 4, but I'm going to go 3 actually.
I think I'm going to go 4. And the mere fact that we're not just saying 1 next or 2 or 0 next, wow, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, hell of a turnaround and hell of a storybook season for.
I kind of enjoy watching. I mean, you saw him with the Red Sox. I mean, nothing against him. He's not. We're not rooting against him. He's kind of fun. The stories we hear, watching him talk to players, and he looks like a fun guy. But I just, it's not fun to have him on your team previous to this season.
Kevin Gausman was pitching like a AL Cy Young candidate early in the season, but over his last 5 starts, Gausman has a 5.48 ERA. So
kind of snuck up on us, right?
Yeah,
we didn't really, kind of quietly.
Yeah, and he gets Boston at home to start, then versus Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay lineup's pretty depleted. Kevin Gausman's better than he's looked lately, so I can't give him a 5. I was thinking about it, but 4 until he shows me that he's back to being Kevin Gausman.
I'm going 5, and I don't know. I don't have the calculation here, and it's not all bad luck. Okay, he's probably but 35 hits in 23 innings. I'm sure there's been some BABIP in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually saw that he was throwing like, I forget which pitch it was, but he kind of dialed back on the splitter. That splitter. Yeah, and I was like, is something wrong with him?
No,
because I think it was his last game. He was throwing the splitter a lot less, and that kind of set off a little bit of a yellow flag for me. But hopefully he's okay. We will wait and see on Gausman. I got him as a 4, but I got you as a 5. What about Ross Stripling? He's been pretty surprising. With these matchups, I'm only going to give him a 2, though.
One more quick note on Gausman. To be fair, his last start against the White Sox, 7 Ks, 2 walks in 6 innings. So, anyway.
If that was the start, he was dialing back the
it may just be this against this team, et cetera. All right. Stripling has been a little bit better than I kind of, all right. We all love Stripling coming out of the Dodgers. Then he didn't do so well with Toronto. And now, we're kind of realizing or remembering why we kind of liked him based upon the job he's done. I'm going to go 3. And I know they're not the greatest of matchups. But I don't know. This team, I'm going to go 3.
I got you as a 3. I hear you. I picked him up for a pass 2-step, and I was thinking about cutting him afterwards, and I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, but I still am a little, I'm not going to just be throwing him every week. So let's recap these grades, and we'll get out of here on the Friday.
Do I need to refresh, or do we have one more? Because if we do,
Eric Fedde. I just put him down as a 0, though. Are you going to give him anything?
I'm going to look at those matchups.
Versus Pitt, yeah. I don't like Eric Fedde's stuff. All
right, you have a complete bias against Eric Fedde. You don't like guys.
Well, actually, man, he put up 6 scoreless his last time.
Yeah, there's always been a little bit of strikeout upside that he never reaches, but I'm always teased by it. I'm going to give him a 1. And there are some. Well, if I have him on a draft champions team, I'm probably starting him. I don't
see that.
I guess it would depend upon my current staff if I were to go to pick him up. And the difference to me is, and I know everybody doesn't play these formats, et cetera, your draft champions rotation, your staff is probably being dinged with injuries, and which puts Fedde. We don't have the waiver wire as our replacement. It's your 17-man reserve or 27-man reserve, half of which are hurt. So in a draft and hold, Ferdie's probably one of your better options. I don't know he's a better option when you can pick up a player from the waiver wire or the free agent pool.
You talked me into a 1. I got to give Ferdie. I've had a grudge against him for a while, probably because he burned me at some point. But he has pitched better than a 0, so I gotta be fair and give him an upgrade.
He's better than a 0.
I think so. Plus, he gets that Eichhoff spot again. Eichhoff DFA'd, but so he'll get Bryce Wilson on Monday. Could be in position for a win there against the Pirates. Well, let's recap these grades here for the week of June 27th, 2022. Charlie Morton 5, Tyler Wells I say 1, Todd 2. Michael Wacha 3, Keegan Thompson 3, Luis Castillo 3, Tristan McKenzie 3, Zach Plesac 2, Chad Kuhl 0, Lucas Gialito I say 4, Todd 3, Luis Garcia of the Astros 5, Jonathan Heasley 2, Tyler Anderson I say 3, Todd 2, Clayton Kershaw 3, Pablo Lopez 5, Eric Lauer 4, Sonny Gray 4, Devin Smeltzer, I say 2, Todd 3. Jordan Montgomery 4, Jamison Tyone 4, Paul Blackburn 2, Frankie Montas, I say 4, Todd 5. Zach Wheeler 5, Bryce Wilson 0, Jose Quintana 0. George Kirby with those matchups is a 5. Same with Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's a 5. Adam Wainwright 4, I say 4, Todd 3. Shane Boz, I say 5, Todd 4. Martin Perez, I say 3, Todd 4. Kevin Gausman, I say 4, Todd 5. Ross Stripling, I say 2, Todd 3. And then finally, Eric Ferdie, we agreed. You talked me into him being a 1. Anything else on your mind today, Todd?
I kind of got everything off my mind if you didn't notice. I think we're good.
Nice, man. Well, you guys on MLB Network Radio tomorrow, you and Eric?
We are on MLB Network Radio tomorrow. We're going to be talking a little about preempting potential trades and what some of the teams may do and some of the players that may emerge along with the news of the day. So, Eric Halterman and I will be on. I don't know the time. They switch it around, but we are on MLB Network Radio tomorrow. I'm on with I think I'm on with not Jeff. I think I'm on with Alan Soslowski on Sunday for my last Sunday. So, looking forward to it.
Nice. Definitely check out that MLB Network Radio show with Eric and Todd. I've caught a few episodes and really enjoyed the dynamic. It's very, very easy listen. So if you're looking for more fantasy baseball talk, check that out, and hope you'll join us again next Friday. We'll be here all season long. Hope you'll be with us here on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast.